And one thing I want to say is don't get the syndrome to make yourself feel guilty about not being a good father. Your presence is being a good father. Being there, her seeing you, being involved, that's being a good father. Because what you're creating for her is memories. And that's more powerful than anything. Because those memories that she is creating and keeping now are the memories that are going to take her into the relationships, to what, my daddy. And I only say that from my perspective because I was the only girl and my father was my king. And I say that wholeheartedly because he was there, he was present. And he always took time to sit down with me and tell me, I don't care what you become, I want you to love what you become and I want you to be the best at it. That's the bottom line, So I grew up thinking I could be the best. I could be the best at whatever I do because my dad said so. He believed in me, right? And as girls and women, girls that grow up to be women, we need that. That's the thing that we look for.
There's this exercise that I did. We were like going for a walk, and there were pull-up bars. And so, she really wanted to get up on the pull-up bars, and so I put her up there, and she got fearful and was like, "Can you please help me? Can you please help me?" And I'm like, "It's okay. Like, let go. I'm here." And that was something that it was like just faith. Like,
right.
Like, I'm here.
Right.
For you. Like, I will be there to catch you.
Right.
And when she finally let go, she was like, "Oh."
Right. It wasn't so bad after all, right?
It wasn't so bad.
Right.
And she did it again. And then, like, without even telling me, she's like, "Oh." I was like, "Oh, okay,
right,
okay,
right.
all right."
Yeah.
But it was little things like that kind of like put everything into perspective, and it was just like, I am being a good dad. Like, why am I stressing myself out so hard to be something that I don't even know what it looks like. I'm just trying to be that.
That right. And how could you be something that you don't know what it looks like?
Right.
You have to create. That's the whole thing, and we are creators, and so you create what's in your heart. God gives you the skill, you just you're doing fine. You're doing fine.
Thank you.
You have to know that, in your heart that you're doing fine. And I think that men in general want to be the perfect dad. They want to be the perfect dad, and they want their kids to say that they were around and, they saw that they were doing the best that they can. But all you can do is the best that you can. Right. That's it. You have the intention to do it. And so by you leading with intention, it's going to come across to her, that, Dad loves me. He's doing everything he can. That's 1,000%. The bottom line, 1,000%. So.
Well, there you go, folks. That's our intro. I am the homie Dev, and we have a really special guest here, Mitzi Archer. This lady has been a mentor, a mother, a pillar in my life. Not only just, in a life spectrum, but also financially, spiritually, mentally. She has created a safe space for me like no other, and I can't thank her enough. I am so honored to be able to interview her today, and I'll let her tell you a little bit about herself. But thank you for coming out to the podcast.
Absolutely. So my name is Mitzi Archer, and first I'm honored to be here, share some knowledge. I have been in finance for over 30 years. And I'm going to back up a little bit. I don't want to date myself, but I'm going to back up a little bit. I went to I graduated from Manual Arts High School. And then when I graduated, I started working immediately. I was in arts, let's just say acting, modeling, the whole 9 yards. And I decided I wanted to move out. And so I was working 2 jobs, and I decided to move out of my parents' house at 21. And I vowed never to go back. And it wasn't because of the environment or anything. I had a great childhood. I grew up with 2 parents in the home, working hard. My parents are immigrants. They're from Belize. And that's all I saw was that they worked. And so when I decided to move out, I moved from probably a good 15 minutes away from where my parents' house were. And I moved into a duplex. So the guy that rented me the duplex lived on one side and I lived on the other. And so after renting for a year, I was like, I bet you I'm paying off his mortgage by me paying rent. Okay, so my rent was $500 back then, okay? If you can think about that, that was in the 80s, all right? I like I said, I don't like dating myself, but that was back in the 80s. So I came home from work one day, and he was walking out of his door, and I said to him, I said, how can I buy a duplex like this? I said, because you sell real estate. And he said, oh, I have a duplex down the street for sale. I said, really? How much would something like that cost? And how can I get a loan for it, right? At the time, I probably was making about $2,000 a month. I was back in the 80s. I was a loan processor. So I had an idea of finance. I just didn't really think to myself, oh, you could afford some real estate, right? So he sat me down and he said, oh, we could do a FHA loan. Your down payment can be 3%. Do you have any credit cards and stuff? I said, I only have 2 credit cards and, I'm not in debt or anything. And I save. I was a saver back then. So he said, I have a duplex. Let me show it to you. So we drove down the street. He showed it to me. And I said, well, how much is it? And he was like, it's $75,000. And you just need 3% down. Mm-hmm. And I said, dang, I could come up with that. Right? I said, I could come up with that, and I could ask my parents if I need, any money. So that's how I got into real estate, because I was paying him for a year. He had real estate all over South Central, off of Crenshaw. Back then it was called Santa Barbara, and they changed the street to Martin Luther King. Okay. And so he owned all kinds of income property. And so I sat down, picked his brain one day, and I said, what do you need to do to sell real estate and also purchase it? Well, we talked about the purchase part, and I wound up buying my first income property at 21. 21. And I lived on one side and rented out the other. My mortgage was $700 back then. I rented out the other side for $500, and I came out of pocket $200. Okay.
So you was an instant baller.
I was instant. It was instant. It was instant. It was easy, and I got an opportunity to see how you really can increase your money and also create wealth, financial wealth, through real estate, right? So after I bought the duplex, I talked to him about getting my real estate license. And he says, all you have to do is study. There's this program. Back then, you had to mail away for the booklet. We didn't have no online stuff, So you sat down, you studied, you did a crash course on the weekend, and then you went and took the test. Okay. So I was still working my 2 jobs, studying, trying to get my real estate license. I wound up getting my real estate license. I stayed in the mortgage industry. I learned more about financing. I wanted to learn the whole aspect about financing. I wanted to learn how, people approve loans, how we process the loans. I wanted to learn stuff about appraisals. I wound up learning everything so that I could actually move my way up in, within corporate America.
Okay.
So started working, I'll never forget, I started working for a small mortgage company in Santa Monica because we lived in LA back then, and just went from working there for probably about 5 years, learning all the intricacies, and then going to bigger companies. I worked for Great Western, Washington Mutual, who now is Wells Fargo. Stayed at Wells Fargo for about 15 years, worked my way up to a VP status. And then from Wells Fargo, I went and I started working at credit unions. And then I went to work for the big boys, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, selling loans in secondary market. So I did a wide variety of things in finance over the 30 years. And during that time, I was buying real estate. Okay. So I had real estate in South Carolina, North Carolina, and I bought a condo in Florida.
Talk about it.
Okay, so I had a lot of real estate, and this was before the market took a dive. And so in 2008, when the market crashed, I wound up having to dump real estate because the condo that I had, it was actually a townhome. I had a townhome in Florida, really nice. I paid $130,000 for it. When the market crashed, it was only worth $25,000.
Okay.
So I lost. I had a loan on it for $130,000, and with it only being worth $25,000, I was upside down on it. So I had to get rid of it. Wow. I had to dump it. But you learn from investing in real estate how to keep and how to let go of some of that stuff, right? Okay. Because, and being in the real estate industry, I see the market, how the market goes up and the market goes down. And right now, what everybody is saying, we're going into a recession. Well, okay, a recession is what you make it. So find the values are going to be going down soon. That'll be the time for y'all to buy real estate.
Okay.
Learn how you can buy real estate with no money down, because there's opportunity and there's product where you can actually come into a deal with no money down. You just have to know how to do it.
Okay, so before we start picking your brain about the genius behind your financial literacy, I want to know what it was like growing up with, like, you're the first generation immigrant. So what was that like?
That was crazy.
Yeah. I know it was.
That was crazy because my parents are from Belize, and it was crazy when my friends would come over and they'd be like, your parents got accents. Where the hell are they from? And I was like, well, they from Belize, and Belize is close to Guatemala, Nicaragua. So we Black Mexicans.
Right.
Okay? Straight up. And people were just like, damn, right? And it's a trip you asked me about that, because I talked to some of my friends today and they were like, y'all were just different. You weren't like us, and I go, well, what do you mean? It's they were saying, we would come over to your house and your father exposed us to camping and going out of the community because we had a boat and an RV in the community. We were the only ones that had like a camper. We called it a camper, but it was like an RV and a boat. And my dad would take us, his family, camping on every holiday. And so my neighbors and the kids in the neighborhood would see that and they'd be like, well, we want to go. We ain't never been out anywhere, and my dad would get all the neighborhood kids and we go camping.
That's fly.
So there are young men today and women that say, because when my dad passed, they all showed up and they were like, they got up, they spoke, and they talked about my dad really making a big difference in their lives because he allowed them to go outside of the hood, right? And see that there was something else to life besides just being in the neighborhood, being able to go out, go away, camping. We would drive for 4 hours to Lake Isabella, Castaic. We went all over, and he took them fishing. He taught a lot of us to ski. I learned how to water ski, because my dad had a boat. So back then we skied on one ski, like what you guys call snowboarding today. We was water skiing on one ski.
Okay.
So it was different in the beginning growing up that way, but then I loved it because my family touched a lot of people in the community.
Right.
And
your father, his personality filled the room.
Oh my God. Yeah.
And I remember I had already seen him like a few times before this, but he was like, you know what? You're Belize. You're Belize.
Okay.
I'm like, okay, I'm Belize. Let's go. Let's go back to the homeland.
Right.
What's really cool about that is that they gave you guys an opportunity to expand your guys' mind.
They did.
They did. That's what traveling does.
They did. And let me tell you something else. Growing up in a household like that, my dad was a musician. And so he had a band, and they would play, and then they would go to different clubs and all of that and play. So I would come home from school, and, you hear all the music, the drummer, the bass, and my dad played the organ, my dad played the piano, and my dad taught himself to read and write music. So he was doing all of that, right? But when I came home, his friends was of every nationality, Samoan, Chinese, not only black, islanders. So I saw that.
Right.
I just didn't see us. And so I was exposed at a very young age to other nationalities, which helped me, right, as a person.
Right.
So, culture for me is important because my parents expressed to me that when they came to this country, they came to make a better life for their children.
And I think that you definitely carried that on very well.
Yeah, I saw my parents work. My dad was, you talk about the entrepreneur and the Jamaicans who have 50 jobs, those are my parents. Okay? Those are my parents. My dad owned a cleaners and he owned a janitorial service, and he taught us and showed us, this is what you need to do to survive. And so he would put us all in a Cadillac. We had one of them old Cadillacs with the pointy lights at the end. We'd get in, put the mops and the buckets in the back, and we would go clean office buildings.
Okay.
That was one job. And then during the day, he ran the cleaners. I would leave from Fauché Junior High School, walk across the street to the big shopping center, walk to his cleaners, and bag clothes. So we worked as a family,
right?
And nothing came easy.
And what type of moral structure was there? Like, would you say like there's a certain way your father did things that rubbed off on you now?
He ran the household as one thing with my dad. It was all about respect. It was all about respect, and it was all about being able to communicate to your kids, talk and listen to what they have to say. I must say in the beginning, my dad was a dictatorship because he was like, I'm the boss, I'm the king, whatever you say, I don't care, I'm the king. And for me, that helped me to see that the structure that he was trying to build, not only for me, but for the boys that were in the house, right? It's like, have respect for your home. You have to have boundaries. There has to be boundaries in the home. And, just make sure that as you grow up that you understand where you came from, and you create an environment for your family that's conducive to be productive. They both of my parents worked hard. They were hard workers. And I wanted to create like a documentary on my parents, because when they came to the country, the way that they came to the country and created a lifestyle, that we had back in the 60s when it was so much racism and all of that, blew my mind. Because my mother came and, the story was she came and wanted to work, and the only thing that was available for her to work was as a maid.
Wow.
Okay, so, all right, that was one of her jobs. And then the person that she was working for was a film producer. And he liked her so much, and she said, do you have more work for me? And he says, well, you could come to the studios and clean the bathrooms. So my mother, classy as she was, came to the studios dressed up, heels, stockings, beautiful dress. And she says, I'm here to clean. And she showed up, and the lady was like, clean what? Dressed like that? Right. She said, you're not here to clean. She goes, let me show you something else you could do, because I could just tell that you're not someone that's going to clean toilets. And my mother's like, no, I'll tell, that's what they sent me here to do. I mean, that's a job, And she was like, no, come back. I want to show you something. If you can do what I do, then we have an open position for you. Now, this was back in the 60s.
That's a blessing.
Okay, so my mom walks back there, and they were dealing with film, right? And she sat down, and the lady said, look, I'm going to have you come here for the next 2 days, and I'm going to show you what I do. And my mom did. It was looking at film, and back then you're actually looking at the film, and you're looking to see where to insert a commercial, right? So you're splicing it, and you're inserting the commercial, and you're doing that through the whole series of film. So it's going from one spool to another. And my mother picked it up just like that, and they hired her after that. And she became actually one of the first black film editors.
Wow.
Yeah. And so she started out at a little small studio back then, and then eventually went and got a position at Paramount Studios. And she was one of the film editors for most of the big shows back then. She was a part of Star Wars.
What?
Eddie Murphy did a lot of movies. She has credits for editing. Some of the older shows like Cheers and just a lot of the older stuff, she was one of the editors.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. That's beautiful. So that's the story of, here you have an immigrant that comes to the country, and, they're thinking, I'll do anything because I'm hungry and I need to survive, right? And my mother always used to tell me, she goes, Mitzi, yeah, we come from Belize. It's a tropical country, but it's also a third world country. We were poor, dirt poor. So when we came to this country, we felt that the streets were paved with gold and opportunity. And we wanted to do whatever we needed to do.
We made exactly that.
And that's exactly what it was, And then my dad, he was the learner. He came, he got a license to open up his cleaners. He got his contractor's license. And, he opened a janitorial business.
So you came from not just one hustler, but two hustlers.
Oh, my gosh. And my mother opened a catering company while she was working a 9 to 5.
There you see. That's what I'm saying.
You know what I'm saying?
It's everywhere.
Yeah.
So taking that example, that strong example, what set you apart from everybody else when you came into corporate America?
It was my work ethic.
Work ethic?
Yeah.
Was it just like more of a, I'm going to outsmart everyone, outwork everyone? Is it?
It was like I wanted to be the best at whatever I did, and my dad always said that to me. I always heard it. It was like, Mitzi, just do your best, be the best, and they can't do nothing else but promote you.
Mm-hmm.
He always used to tell me that whatever you do, be the best at what you do. But then he also said is you got to love it. And loving it means that you're not only helping yourself, but you're helping other people.
Okay.
Right? So when you look at things that you love to do, you're doing it because of a passion, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you don't understand how you're only blessing yourself, but you're blessing other people by what you do, right?
Right.
Because you're touching people, regardless of what it is. A lot of times we feel, I just got to make money. And I don't care how I got to make it, but I got to make money. So you get into a dead-end job that you're doing, but you ain't happy.
Right.
But it's bringing in the money, right? Instead of sitting back and thinking, okay, what makes me happy? How can I generate the income? Always remember, you generate the income with passion, but you also got to have other sources of income.
Right.
Okay? It's the other sources that's going to help catapult the passion.
Facts. So, is that why you left corporate America?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
After 30 years, I really left because, and I stayed because I had, I got 3 kids. I had to put them through school. I got 2 of them that graduated from college. That cost a grip, right? You just cashing out 24/7,
Mm-hmm.
and then, the other twin, his dad taught him a trade because not everybody is made to go to college, right? And I had to understand that. When I was working in corporate America at Wells Fargo, I decided to go back to college while my kids were in high school. It took me 5 years. It was the toughest thing that I ever did in my life because I was working a full-time job from 9 to 5, right? Let's say not even 9 to 5. It was more than 9 to 5. But I was carrying 18 units at one time.
Wow.
Right? I gave up my weekends just so that I could finish and get my degree in psychology. Because I wanted in the back of my mind, I didn't graduate from college. I started a family, I got married, and I wanted to build a family. But then I decided to go back to school. 5 years it took me to get my degree.
So what advice would you give to mothers out there that want to go back to school, but they just feel like they don't have the time?
Think about it. It's like, think about it. If you want to go back to school, it's a commitment, right?
Yeah.
And that commitment means that you're going to give up time with your children, right? And if you're married and you have a husband that understands your passion about going back to school, then he's going to support you while you're studying on Saturday and Sunday to get them tests in.
Right.
That's the bottom line. And I had a supportive husband. He was like, okay, I'm going to take them to the movies. I know you got a test. And there were times I would come home from work Friday night and I'd go straight on the computer. I knew that I had a test Saturday morning. I'd stay up 24 hours, finish my papers, and then jump on Saturday morning at 7 or 8 a.m. and take a proctored exam. It was brutal.
Right.
But then for me, I came from that background that when you make your mind up, there's no turning back. I put blinders on and I say I'm going to achieve the goal regardless.
Gotta see it.
It has to work. There's no plan B for me. It's a plan A. Plan A is it, and I'm going to get there.
Okay. Do you have any advice for the single mothers?
I do. For single moms, I would say, just believe in yourself and believe that just because you have kids does not mean that you can't chase your dream, period, okay? There are things that you can create for your children and days that you can create for yourself to focus. Now that we have online classes, you could set it up where Put your kids down at a certain time, create structure in the home, put them down at 8 o'clock. Be consistent at 8 o'clock. 8:30, jump on the computer and see if you can knock out 2 subjects, 2 papers, whatever you have to do in regards to whatever classes you're taking. Take 1 class at a time. I don't care if it takes you 5 years like it took me. Take your time and do 1 class at a time and complete it.
Okay.
You know, you got to give up some sleep.
Absolutely.
You got to give up some sleep. You know, I'm not telling you to take away time from your children. What I'm saying is spend time with them, do what you have to do, help them with their homework, put them down 8, 9 o'clock, or say, hey, look, 9 o'clock, that's it. It's bedtime. Because now I'm going to jump on at 9:30, and I'm going to study from 9:30 to midnight. And then I'm going to go to bed, and I'm going to get, you know, maybe 4 or 5 hours sleep.
Do it all over.
And do it all over again.
Okay.
You know, so.
So when you left corporate America, was there any fears of, like, you know, maybe a stumble in finance?
Oh, man, there's always fears.
Okay.
Listen, I'm going to be real and transparent. There's always fears when it comes to starting a business, okay? There's failure, and I am not going to sugarcoat it. Many people start businesses that fail, and once you fail, start it again, period, okay? That's the bottom line. If you truly have a burning in your heart to start a business and you jump out there, just jump in with all feet, no blinders on, jump in and say, I'm going to start it. I'm going to start my either your LLC or a corporation, whatever you want to do, you know, start it. Look for the financing for the business. There's money. It takes money to start a business. Absolutely. You know what I mean? It takes money to start a business. Sit down and write down what you need. What do I need? What's the equipment I need? If I could afford one person, human capital is what we call it. If I could afford one person, what would that person do for me? Right? There's so much today that you can do. You could get a virtual assistant. All right, so how much is that going to cost me a month? You can get one for $30 a month, $20 a month. It depends. I'm sure you heard of Fiverr.
Yeah.
You know, you can go on Fiverr and get a virtual assistant. Okay, that's called human capital. So if you're paying that person $20 a month, $30 a month, you can write that off. You can write that off.
It's a whole system.
It's a whole system. There's so many things that we don't know. And starting a business, if you start your business and you have a certain amount of money coming in, right? And you could pay yourself, say you want to pay yourself $1,000 a month. That ain't a lot of money. But you pay yourself $1,000 a month. Now you're not a LLC anymore. You can bump yourself up to a S Corp, and you could take your car loan and transfer that into the business name. Now the business owns the car, okay? The business now pays not only for the car note, but the business also pays for the insurance, the car insurance. Right. The business now also can pay for your cell phone bill, all right? I need people to get into the mindset of I own nothing, but I control everything.
So tell us the title of your business.
The name of my business is Archer Internal Strategies. And I'll tell you what that means. My last name is Archer. And internal strategies means that I'm in the background and I'm giving you the stuff that you need that you really don't know you need. Okay? The paperwork. I create the LLC. I create the corporation paperwork. I can tell you how to build your business credit. You know, go after certain business credit cards. If your personal credit is bad, I could tell you how to fix your personal credit so that you don't have to use your personal credit. The key is you want to get financing, either business credit cards or financing to fund your business and not use any of your personal credit at all. You want to use other people's money, period.
OPM.
That's it.
Money.
That's the bottom line. You want to use other people's money. And building a trust, and putting your business in the trust is what you need to do. Everything you own should be in a trust.
So would you say this is a passion of yours to help people financially?
A huge passion. It's a huge passion. Over the years, I have learned so much, and I have helped so many people and so many businesses get to a certain point. But I decided that I want to be the one to be able to help people, not doing it from corporate America, but I want to do it from my perspective, where I could just give people all the knowledge and so that they could be successful.
And do you feel like success, it comes with a certain type of personality, or can anybody do it?
Anybody can do it. Success comes with passion, what you want to do. And a successful person doesn't want to have to worry about having to pay taxes because they didn't file their taxes on time. Right? Success comes with putting processes in order for your business so that you don't have to worry about, well, I ain't making no money, and I don't know how to fix all the stuff in the background. A business owner should be able to do their passion and have their create a machine that's working for them in the background so that they have everything in compliant. You can't go after grants and free money without having your business in order.
Okay.
You gotta have it in order. People ain't gonna give you $50,000 for free in a free grant if you don't have a business plan. What are you gonna do with the money? What are you doing for the community? How are you gonna put that money back into the community? They ask you all those questions.
Okay. So say I have, Playtime Productions, right? And I come to you and I say, hey, Mitzi, how can I gain capital? How can I basically just legitimize my whole business? What would you say to me?
First thing I would say to you is, okay, do you have a business plan? Do you have anything in writing as to what Playtime Productions is going to do?
I just want to take over the culture.
Okay, so you want to take over the culture. All right. But do you have it in writing?
No.
Okay, so that's one thing. If you don't have it in writing, say I'm the bank, and you come to me and you go, hey, banker, I have this movie, I have a script, and I want to show you the script, and I'd like to get funding so that I could film the movie. And I'd be like, okay, all right, is this your first movie?
Yes.
Okay. So it's your first movie, and do you have any money in the bank?
A little bit.
Okay.
Some.
Okay, so you have a little money in the bank. Okay. Do you have employees? Are you paying yourself on a salary, or do you have employees?
Paying myself. Okay,
so you're paying yourself on a salary. Is your business a LLC, or are you a sole proprietor?
Sole proprietor.
Okay. So sole proprietor, you pay 15% in taxes. Okay. So do you have that 15% set up somewhere in a bank account?
I do.
Okay, good. I'm proud of you. Okay, good. All right, so you're a sole proprietor. Okay, so the first thing I would say to you is you have to have a business plan. Okay, and I'll tell you why. Because the business plan is going to tell me what your business is going to do in different stages. And not only that, your business plan is going to tell me what your competitors are doing. Okay? So you have other small production companies, right? And this is what they're doing. And this is the amount of money that they have coming in, right? I need to make sure that you're going to pay the money back. Right. That's facts. Okay? I need to make sure that you're going to pay the money back. And the first thing I'm going to say is, do you have business credit?
No.
Okay. So you don't have any business credit. Okay. So that right there would show me, okay, you haven't established, I haven't seen any payment history, right? There's no payment history. So For me as an individual, now I'm taking my banker hat off. I'm helping you. So the first thing I would tell you to do is to open up like maybe 3 or 4 net 30 accounts.
Net 30.
And what a net 30 account is like, okay, it's a small account like Uline. There's different places where you could just order like office equipment, cleaning supplies, and pay them in 30 days. Okay. And that goes on to your business credit report. Just like our personal credit report, we have FICO scores.
Right.
Okay. You have a Paydex score for your business. It's called Paydex. And that Paydex score is pulled from Equifax, Dun & Bradstreet, and Experian. Those are the 3 bureaus. And if you pay for the next 6 months a net 30 before 30 days, they will give you a score, and you need to have a score between 80 and 100. Okay, which is A credit. Mm-hmm. All right. So once you get those, then we move to the next level, which would be, like major credit cards. Right?
All right.
You get a major credit card, and with the major credit card now, they pull your credit, your business credit, and they see, oh, well, he's got these smaller accounts, and he's been paying on time. He has no lates. All right, we're gonna give him a $50,000 credit card, and we're gonna see how he does with that.
Okay.
All right. So you got a $50,000 credit card. What do you do with that?
Buy equipment.
Okay. All right. You pay your bill on time. You're never late. Business credit is different from personal credit. What happens with personal credit is it goes against your credit, and you have to work to try to clean it up and remove all of that. Business credit stays on there.
Ooh.
Right?
Ooh, that's low.
It's a little hard.
Okay.
It's harder. And you want to make sure that whatever you do once you start your business credit and you're using and leveraging your business credit, you always pay your bills on time.
Okay.
And an easier part with business credit is if you got a $50,000 credit card, you could hook up with another business, invoice them, and pull cash off of that credit card. There's a lot of ways. And when I say pull cash off of it, you could take that cash out, leverage something else, right? Mm-hmm. To basically pay cash for something opposed to using the credit card so that you could start another business. Say you wanted Playtime Production is your main LLC or S Corp. Under Playtime Production, you can open another LLC for a t-shirt merch business. Okay? That'll be another business that will be creating additional income for you. Okay? Another source of income while you're dealing with Playtime. Do you understand?
Yeah, so basically build a great rapport with, financially.
Mm-hmm.
Get a major credit card.
Mm-hmm.
Use that credit to fund your LLC or your business.
Mm-hmm.
And then always pay it on time.
Always pay it on time.
And then kind of create businesses under your business.
Absolutely.
So the money just keeps...
It just keeps rolling in. Okay. Because you can also create digital product, right? Mm-hmm. I know you like to write and all of that other stuff. You can write a book on poetry. Right. You can write a book on... And all of that is e-product. Okay, it's digital product. You write it one time, and then you put it on your website, and you're selling it. Okay? Just think like this. Say you created a book of poetry. Maybe it had 25 pages in it. Right. And it had these poems on it. But it's your work. It's your personal work. Say you sell it for $10 a piece. If you sell it for $10 a piece, and 500 people buy that book from all over the world, or even 1,000 people at $10 a piece, is that money coming in on a regular basis?
I mean, yeah, kind of.
Okay, it is.
Yeah.
But that's an additional source of income. I mean, if you pulled your calculator out and you said $10, $10 at at 1,000 people, right? This is something that's continuous because that's going to be out on your website,
right,
24/7. In your podcast, you could be like, oh yeah, go to my bio on TikTok or go to my bio on YouTube or whatever. There's a link on there with all my poetry work. I got this ebook. It's $10. They're gonna be like, $10.
That's nothing.
That's nothing.
Yeah.
And then think about if you even had an ad, right?
Right.
For not only that, but say you got good at the merching part and you create your own t-shirts. You have a whole separate thing where you're just doing heat press, right? You're doing hoodies, t-shirts, and all of that. You also have that on your bio. And you're blasting out advertisement on that, right? You know, your t-shirts or your hoodies are $40, $50. People are like, that's really nice.
Mm-hmm.
And they're paying for it. That's income.
Okay.
That's more money coming in.
And that looks good to the bank.
Oh my God, yes.
Okay.
And you making money while you're sleeping.
Okay. All right.
Right?
So basically the name of the game is keep your name clean,
Mm-hmm.
your credit clean, and build an umbrella of businesses.
That's the key. That's the key, because what you do when you do that is that you're building a legacy. You're creating something that will continue.
So generational wealth is the name of the game.
That's the name of the game. Generational wealth is the name of the game. And how do you start generational wealth? You start it in your mindset thinking, when I'm no longer here, what am I leaving for my daughter?
Right.
How do I set her up to be successful?
Mm-hmm.
So I'll tell you, and this is transparency and personal. After my dad passed, my mom had the house in Hemet. She sold the house,
Right.
She got money from the house. And I was talking to her and I was like, who does this, Mom? She made a list of all her great-grandchildren. She has 10 great-grandchildren. Ooh. And then she made a list of all her grandchildren. Well, all of her grandchildren got like $500, right? Okay, she got about 14 grandchildren. The great-grands got what you call a UTMA account. And an UTMA account, and I'm telling you this because I had to help her with this. This was crazy.
Okay.
A UTMA account is an account that you open up for an infant, right? And the account is for them, and they can only touch the money until when they're 18. The parent can't touch it. Nobody can touch it because my mother's the beneficiary and the child is the beneficiary. The child gets the money when they turn 18. Okay. Now that money is tied to the market. So what she did was 10 grandchildren each got $1,000 in that account.
Okay.
And all of the grandbabies were, the youngest one was like only 2 weeks old, and the oldest one was maybe 3 or 4, something like that. But I want you to think about this. When they turn 18, they have an opportunity to have $1 million.
Right. So basically, it's just sitting there accumulating.
That is it.
That's it.
That's it. The money's sitting there.
So she doesn't have to keep putting money in
No.
there? Okay.
You can put money in there if you want to.
Okay.
But if you want to just leave $1,000 in there, watch it grow.
Wow.
Of course, some, I don't like saying, some got more than others for different reasons, but yeah.
And a lot of people don't know this.
They don't. They don't know it. They don't know it. That's how you create generational wealth, right? I got a grandson. I put money, I started his account, I want him to have an opportunity to make a decision. Do I want to have surgery on my hand, or do I want to use that money to go to college?
Right.
That's his choice. But the money will be there for him, to do that.
So money is more of like a tool.
It's a tool. People don't understand the importance of money. Money comes and money goes, right? But in order for you to be successful with it, you have to respect it, and you have to know what to do with it. You have to use it as a leverage, right? And that's what I want to get across to the generation. You know, it ain't so important to go buy Parada and go buy all of this other stuff that's not going to bring you any dividends, right? Think about what's going to bring you dividends. I grew up where I had Louis Vuittons and all of that other stuff. As I got older, I was like, that's cool, but the $1,500 that I spent on that bag could have turned into something else.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So we have to think like that in this day and age. The money that we spend, you could buy real estate.
Okay. And so for the spiritually inclined people, you know.
Is that woke?
Woke people.
Uh-huh.
How do you keep money in check? Like, you know, they say the root of love, or
money is the root of all evil.
There you go. So
It's not, money is not the root of all evil. It's the worship. Mm-hmm. Oh.
Okay. This is why we
Space and opportunity, stay 10 toes stands. Anywhere I stand, it's just space and opportunity. Don't play with that, man. There's some ways to expand.
The worship of money is the evil part. Okay, to worship it. To be able to have access to money. And I think that's one of the most important things. We look at people who are financially rich, right? You don't see them driving around in, let me back up, because the younger generation is flossing.
Right,
okay?
Right.
The younger generation is flossing, but my generation, they rolling in Toyotas, and they billionaires. They got a lot of money. Why? Because they're not driven by material things. They're driven by making more money, right? So that they can leave a legacy. And they're leaving a legacy not so that the next generation can blow it away. And that's what I learned in the 30 years, because I have seen so many millionaires put money in the bank, have 4 or 5, 6 businesses, leave this earth, and the business is still making money,
right?
Because of the way that they wrote it up, right? And that's why I say, when you put everything in a trust, there's an executor of a trust. And that executor of a trust, you write up the trust, the executor can do X, Y, Z, right? Or say I have $5 million in real estate in that trust. Well, my kids ain't going to sell it. And that's what I'm going to put in the trust. They're going to keep the real estate and keep the real estate so that the money can keep coming in.
Okay.
Period. Whatever real estate is in there, and I say that now because I have a trust and I have it written that way. The house that I own, that I worked my fingers to the bone for, will never be sold. Someone will always have somewhere to go because I wrote it up in the trust that way.
Okay.
I'm not just doing it so that you can have it or sell it and take the money and blow it. I'm doing it so that your children's children will always have something, and it can continue that way. What do you think the Rockefellers did?
Right.
They did the same thing.
So do you think the real wealth starts within?
It starts within. It starts within, and it starts with learning the purpose of money. And for me to see my parents come to this country and make something out of nothing, I understood that it was important to make the money, but what they did with it was important. That was the more important piece, what they did with it. I don't ever remember living in an apartment. in my life, except for when I lived in the duplex and I didn't own it. I was renting. That was the first place that I had ever rented. But with my parents, they always owned a home.
Right.
And so when you see that, you do that, right? And when I told my dad at 21, Dad, I found a duplex, I want to buy it. He was like, what you need? He was like, what you need? Because this is going to be an investment and it'll change your life.
Too easy.
You know, so, and that's what I tell my kids. Buy something. I don't care if it's a condo. A condo is a glorified apartment, but it's still yours. Right? You know, but I tell everybody, if you want to buy something, try to buy income property, which is a duplex. You know, start off with a duplex. That's just a house split down the middle. Live on one side and let the tenant pay your mortgage. That's the key. That's the key. And I know real estate for the younger generation today is so expensive that you guys can't even qualify for anything.
Yeah.
Right? But you could if you got people together, what we call, and this is from my generation and from my culture, a syndicate. And a syndicate is you get a group of people together and y'all all pitch in a percentage and you take that money and you buy something. And each person owns a portion of that property until you're able to step out on your own and get your own. But that comes with trust.
That does come with trust. Comes with a lot of trust.
That comes with trust, and that's the problem that we don't have, you know.
Honestly, right now, I feel like, you know, within my generation, it's hard to trust people because we actually, you know, a lot of us promote not trusting anybody. You know, a lot of us promote individualism. A lot of us promote, I can get it on my own, I don't need nobody. But the thing about it is we do need everybody. We need the community. You
need the community. And okay, so let's talk about a part of my culture. Let's talk about Spanish and Mexican people.
Right.
They trust.
They do.
Do you know how many loans I've done for them where it's 10 people on the loan? Where they've all pooled their money together so that, you know, this family could get a house. They pay it off or refinance when they can afford it. And then they help the people that gave them the money buy something else or start a taco truck or buy a food truck. That's all trust. They all pool their money together. And the Samoans do it too. And so do the Chinese.
We got to get it together, folks.
Yeah.
Got to get it together.
Yeah.
So, any last remarks for the people before we get out of here?
Yes. Generational wealth is where it's at. I know that's the vibe and people are talking about it, but how you really get here, how you really get there, that could be a whole nother podcast. Generational wealth is key. It's all about putting and investing into things not only for yourself, but for your family, your legacy. You know, we can go a little deeper on another one and talk about, you know, what you need to do to get to financial freedom.
Absolutely. I will be back for more.
Yes, for sure.
All right, well, there you have it, folks. I am the homie Dev. This is Mitzi Archer. Thank you again for
you
coming
are
on
welcome.
To the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. So we will have another episode, y'all. So be cautious of that. You know this one was great, so next one gonna be better. You know. But anyways, y'all, you guys have a great one. Stay tuned. Be blessed. We out.
So my website is archerinternalstrategies.com. And you can go on my website. I have a free ebook that shows you how to create an LLC in California. And you can also book a free 30-minute consultation with me on my website.
Book now, folks.
That's archerinternalstrategies.com.